mom called me up one day and she's like, I think you have Candida. And I'm like, what's that? That's weird.
Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Life could be a dream. And I think plans would come true. And I think my whole life loving you.
Well, in my channel today, I'm going to talk about food allergies and Candida. So if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get going. Alrighty, so to start out, when I was about 11 years old, my mom was looking through my ear. She has an ear scope, and she's looking and she's like, your ears are blocked off. And I was like, what? So she went and cleaned it out, and as she's looking in there, she's like, there's something in there that's not right. And so we ended up that night going to someone we knew, a ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he was looking and he's like, you have fungus in your ear. I was like, what? Like, what? Like, that's not a thing. I feel like it's normal to go to somewhere and they're like, you have fungus, you have mold, like, here's the mushrooms. We can harvest them and eat them in our salads. No, it does not look like that. It did not, but that's kind of my first thought is fungus, mushrooms. So we talked about going and seeing him at the actual doctor because that was just in his home. The next day, or the next, set up an appointment for the next few days, but at the time we didn't have insurance, and so my mom just went home and she used tea tree oil, and she used that when I was younger because I had a lot of ear infections when I was a baby, and so we used that and it went away and it was fine. And for the next few years, it would come back or quite often. So whenever I went swimming or different places, I would put the tea tree directly in my ears. And then sometimes I was just like frustrated and I got to the point, and so we did set up a few different doctor's appointments, just like normal doctors. None of them really knew what it was. None of them really said much. They'd be like, take this for your ear, and none of it would ever work. So I ended up going back to the tea tree anyways. And different things would happen where like the infection would get so bad if I didn't treat it soon enough, because I was stubborn. I'm always stubborn, and sometimes I just don't want to do things like I should. And I go into where my jaw would swell up, and then when my jaw swell up, I can't eat as much, and it's hard to eat and all this stuff. So I tried to take it sooner, but you know, one time it got so bad that it drained into my eye and my eyes was swollen up, and so we had to do some stuff to get that down. But like, if I would have just taken it all the time, it would have been fine. So this went on for several years. So we finally, I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he tested my hearing, and he said, you have above, it was like normal hearing to above average, which was really interesting because where I had so many ear infections as a baby, and then also leading up now, that my hearing was still great. So that was good to hear. So he tried a couple different things. Oh, let's see, there we go again. So ever since I started having this, my ears have been itching so bad, like all the time my ears would just be itching. And so when I went to this doctor, he gave me some stuff that should actually help with my ears, and then he also gave me some stuff to help with the itching. And I'm not really sure, I didn't really stuff that helped in the ear, it didn't help, but when I was trying that stuff in my ear to help with the itching, it did not help with the itching at all, and maybe a tiny bit, but not that much. But what it did do was I get these little flakes on my ear. They were like yellow, and then there'd be a little dark circle in the middles. And so I got several of these. I stopped using it because I was like, something's wrong, but I kept pulling these out for a few weeks. And I don't know what it was or what was going on, but that stuff was messed up. So that was like, nope, out of the way. And yeah, it was super weird. So the one good thing he did tell me was whenever I would shower, take a bath, or would swim, I put earplug in. And he said in earplug, or put a little bit of cotton ball with Vaseline. And so whenever I showered, with swimming, or anything that my ears would be around water, I put that into my ear. And it's actually when you're swimming and stuff, it was nice because it blocks out all the like the loud sounds around, but usually you can hear some people around you, and so that was still good. My senior year in high school, and I had started getting this eczema on my knee, and it was kind of itchy and all stuff, but then it went away, and I was like, okay, it went away, whatever. So it was about 3 months after I graduated. It was right before I went to this camp for my church, and it suddenly came back out of the blue. So me and my mom were talking, and we're thinking through different things I changed in my diet, and the only thing different was I ate a bagel with cream cheese on it. And so I was thinking, well, maybe it's the bagel, maybe that has anything in it. And I was like, no, you've had other like breads, other things, that shouldn't be the problem. The only thing different was that the cream cheese and that bagel. I didn't eat cream cheese like that in a while, and so we're correlating. They're like, wait, what if it's a dairy allergy? So I wanted to see. So right then and there, I went off dairy completely. And that was very hard, because here I am going to this camp right before, not sure anything in this ballpark of what's going on, totally went off it. So I go off right then. That got better, where the eczema went away, and also I didn't realize this was an issue that much, because it had been going on for so long, and my mom had the same thing going. She just said it was normal whenever I mentioned it, but I would get nauseous after eating a whole lot. And so I just thought it was normal that other people got it. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. So I went off. So I went off dairy. So at this point, no dairy. Oh, I forgot that, doctor. At this point, I was off dairy, and my ears had all these different pains. And I started to feel better, doing a lot more. It was hard to go places, because here I am being like, can't have this, I can't have anything with dairy in it. Things we did find that helped was if I had a little bit of lemon essential oil, I would put that onto my tongue and with a little water, and then just drink that. Or I use Tri-Ease, which I believe is lemon, peppermint, and then the last one I think is lime. I know there's third, I'm pretty sure it's lime. I'll make sure everything, but. And so I would take that, and I could eat stuff, and it was fine. I wasn't always sure how picky it was, if I could have it anything. I don't think it was really that bad, but I was kind of at the point where I was like, I'm not having anything, I don't want to be sick, I'm feeling great. I did find out though that if I had raw cow milk, and I drank that I wasn't having these issues. So I could drink raw cow milk, no problem. If I drank pasteurized milk, that's when I started having problems. So fast forward several months, I started having some other issues. So I'd always been constipated for a long time. Sorry, this is gross. So I'd been constipated, but it started getting worse. Or 3 days after eating processed flours, I'd be stuck in the toilet, and that's I couldn't actually go, but it was really, really painful. So I was kind of going back and forth. I did find out that if I had if I grind my own wheat, I had a wheat grinder, I could make stuff with that. I could also have flours with unbleached, unenriched flour, and I could get that for fairly, I think it was cheaper than actually normal flour. And at the Costco's around here, they sell it from Lehigh Rolling Mills, so you can get that. So I had those two flours, and I made stuff. It was fine. And I was still kind of going back and forth of is this something I want to do? That's a hard commitment to go off all these flour products too. And I find that I went on this date. I ate a chicken sandwich sort of thing, and I was just so sick after that at that point I was like, I have to go off, I can't do this anymore. So I went off that. I started feeling a whole lot better. So I was off dairy and processed flours, and my ears are causing issues. And none of this I ever went to the doctor for. I think a lot of it stemmed back to when I went through my ear issues. I went to doctors, and they never really knew how to treat it or what's going on, and so my mom would always find stuff at home that would help better than the doctors. And so I never was diagnosed with like the dairy allergy. I kind of just say lactose intolerant because it's just easier to have like a name, and that's what I felt related most to. The same thing with having not processed flours is sometimes I just say I'm gluten free because it's just easier than trying to explain, oh, I just can't have processed flours. And that's kind of a lot what it was, but I could still have gluten. I just couldn't have processed flours with gluten in it. And so like the symptoms and everything kind of related back to the same. And so we were just treating a lot of this at home, just going off the foods. I went off it, it worked, and so I didn't feel like I needed a doctor just to say, oh, you can't eat this. A lot of times I see a lot of other people with actual food allergies, and they go to the doctor, there's not a lot they can do anyways, so there wasn't really a point. So at this point in my life, I wasn't able to eat a lot of these foods. I was kind of miserable, because especially like going on dates, it's like, well, I can't eat any of this. I just feeling like I could hardly eat any foods. And it's about a year since I'd gone off like dairy, and my mom called me up one day and she's like, I think you have Candida. And I'm like, what's that? That's weird. And she's like, look at the symptoms online. I have these oils and I think they should help. And I was like, okay. So I looked up online, and the symptoms vary a lot between different people, but actually 75 to 80% of people have it. And from the research I did, and that's just because so many of us, we use so much antibiotics in our bodies, and it's killing off all the good bacteria and the bad, but then the bad comes back and the good's not able to. And so then it causes all these issues because in your gut is causing so many different things. If your gut's off, then everything else can be off. So and so also when I was researching, a lot of people say, and this is what happens when people get Candida, is you're supposed to go off like sugars, fruits, because what feeds it. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm already like off all these foods. I can't just go off fruits too. I'm like, and I'll just be eating like vegetables and maybe rice and beans. And to me at the time, I was already eating so little things, I was like, I can't go off that too. But what my mom found out is I do 2 drops of lemongrass, 2 drops of clove, put it into a little pill capsule, and I'd have that twice a day. I'd also arbor vitae, it's a little less known one, but I put it on the bottom of my feet and on my tummy, and I do that when I take the pill. And I stopped using it on my tummy because it would stay in my clothes, but I kept using it on my feet. And I did that for three weeks. And I think about the 2 week, I was like starting to get curious about it to see if it was actually working. So I took a shower without my earplugs, and nothing, no ear infection, nothing. So after a few days of that, I started incorporating some different foods back into my diet. I first started off with English muffins because that's what I wanted, number one. I was like, give me some English muffins. I'm like, I want these so bad. So I tried those, no problems. So I slowly started incorporating other foods into my diet, and I'm doing different things. It was crazy actually after finding this out and all the different things that actually improved. I got rid of, I could have all the processed any kind of processed flours. I could have any kind of dairy, and my ears went away. I also used to have back knee really bad, and that went away. So all these symptoms all these different things, I was like, when I was feeling miserable some days and just super sick, I was like, I just wish there was a cure to all this, and I'm thinking there's not a cure-all. But when I did find the cure-all, I was like, this is a miracle. How did this happen? It was a great blessing. So I incorporated them back since that time, those 3 weeks. So after this, I did have some reoccurrences where my ears were having issues. So at that point, I started taking the pills again. I did, and it would go away. At one point, it did come back about last year, and I kind of waited. I really procrastinated taking the oils, and it came back, and I was like super nauseous because I'd not been used to having that nausea. And so I just drank smoothies a lot, and then I got it down, and since then I haven't really had any issues, and so that's fine. And I'd rather have it every once in a while and be able to take these pills than have it all the time like I did. And so it really ended up being a great blessing and a great thing to figure this all out. Again, I was never diagnosed with this. I never went to the doctor. I think a lot of times people can have Candida a lot more than they think they do too, but usually when you go to the doctor, they treat the actual symptom and not all around the big issue. And so maybe you have it and you just don't realize, and maybe this could be something that can help you. Again, doctors are user for a reason, and I think you can. In my case, I had gone to doctors and they weren't helping a lot, so I was finding other things that did help. And it ended up working out good, and I was able to figure this out, and I'm like healthy now. I did go back, most of the time I still don't eat those processed foods because I see that they caused issues back then, and so I don't want them as much now. And so I'm kind of back on a lot of what I was eating before, but I do have freedom. If I'm somewhere eating, I can eat something like that. I can eat at someone's house, or I'm on a date and it's a lot easier. So that's kind of my story, how I found out Candida, and all this whole long journey about everything that happened, because it was no fun. It was pretty miserable a lot of times. So maybe you're going through a lot of the same things, and maybe you have some of these issues and you don't go off stuff. I don't know how I did it, because that's really hard to go off a lot of those foods, and there's probably a lot more to why I was able to do that, but that's kind of another story, another video. But if you like more tips like this or other things related, let me know in the comments what you would like to know. I feel I would love to show I would like to show more life experiences, because I feel like maybe they can help someone out there that may be going through the same thing. So let me know. Also give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.